Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back now with our friend Jacqueline Noosh. How you doing today?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. I love your hair. It is gorgeous. The thickness, the color. For those of you on the radio side are like, what? We're doing a live Zoom here as well. Let's introduce. So the name of the company is?
Aurum.
Perfect.
Aurum and VitaJuwel.
Perfect.
I represent both.
Great. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your companies and what they are and what you do?
So I'm what you might call a modern day mystic, and I hear, see, and feel things that most people in the rest of the world don't. But for me, that's just normal and how I go about life. And I'm just here to share that with you and some of the ways you can start incorporating your intuitive gifts into your own life.
Wow. Okay. So modern day mystic. I love that terminology. So are we an empath? Are we a medium? Are we a psychic? Are those terms that you don't want to use? But I've never heard what you said before. One more time, you introduce yourself as a what? A modern
day mystic.
Beautiful. So any of the terms resonate with you that I mentioned or no?
All of them.
They do. Okay, good. I didn't insult you. I'm like, so tell us a little bit about this gift and power and talent that you have.
Well, and I guess, first of all, I will say that for some people, they are very specific about what the different terms mean.
Okay.
And they do mean different things. But the problem is when you have spirituality, it's more of concepts. You don't really incorporate just words. And so if you have someone who's never seen a child and they've never been a mother and they don't know what children or motherhood is, and they ask you, they say, what's it like to be a mother? Describe it in a word or two words. You know, what would you say?
Amazing.
And that would be totally accurate.
But if still like, okay, it doesn't give you the whole sense.
Right. If they've never seen a child and maybe they work or maybe they're in the bush or maybe, they would think of what their version of amazing is.
Yes.
And so they might know that you're passionate about it. They might know that it's important to you. They might know that it lights you up and fills you with joy, but that one word, even though it encompasses it, it doesn't really encompass it all.
No.
So some people like to describe it. This might be Buddhist, but the problem is in the intuitive world, everybody learns as you go. So there's no formula of how to do it. There's no school to oversee, who's doing it and what degree or diploma you come out with. But so you just pick up things along the way and you don't really know exactly where they came from all the time or who said it first. But I believe it's in Buddhist tradition. They talk about the sun or they talk about the ocean. And they say that God or the higher power is the ocean. And if you were to take one drop out of the ocean, it's still the ocean, or the ocean is in that drop of water, but obviously one drop of water isn't the whole ocean.
Yes.
Yeah. And so people talk about that with God and our spirituality and the fact that there's this overriding sort of, spirituality, and our souls are connected to that. And each one of us is a ray of sun, but we're not the sun, or we're a drop of water from the ocean, but we're not the ocean, but we're still connected to it. And we share all of the properties of the, the mothership or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yes, I am all of them. I would say most people with intuitive gifts are multidisciplinary. You're medium, you're a psychic, you're clairvoyant, you're clairaudient. It's just to different degrees. And even if you take two clairaudience, a clairaudience is to see, you have totally different skills that show up between different people. Are you familiar with the different clairs?
Well, I don't know what they are, but one has to do with like seeing, smelling, touching. So clair visual, clair audio, clair, I don't know,
yes.
Something like that.
Exactly.
Can you explain?
Well, so I'll talk about empathy because that's where a lot of people start. So an empath is someone whose higher sensory perception is largely developed in the ability to feel. And everyone has it. And the way that you see it most common, or that most people could identify with, is a mother's intuition. So once you've had kids, you just have this feeling, do I need to call school today?
By the way, are you a mom?
No, I'm not.
Do you have, but you have,
Well, no, I am.
That-
I am. I am a mother to 50 remedies. Well,
perfect.
hundreds actually, but 50 in my new collection. And how that came about is because I always, I never wanted to be a mother in the traditional sense of the word. And there's a variety of reasons for that. But one is I felt like I had this thing inside me that I needed to create. And I didn't know if I could do that if I was a mother and if I had
Got
to
it.
split my time between both.
Mm.
And so I did get to a point, and actually, but I was having problems launching my business and lots of different things, and things weren't really working. And what I realized is that my female reproductive system needed an overhaul. And I had done various things throughout, my life as a woman, but okay, I'll tell you this.
Yeah. Whatever you feel comfortable with. I can talk
No.
about anything. I don't care.
So when I live spiritually, that means every single decision that I make has a spiritual, like I listen to, I'm clairaudient. So I hear direct downloads and messages. So everything from what I'm going to wear to what time I leave my house, to what direction I walk, which street corner I stop on, who I talk to, what I say to them, what I order for a coffee or not in the morning. Every single decision for the last number of years, 7 years, has been totally, completely spiritual. So it's my husband's birthday, and I'm asking what I need to wear in the morning. And this shirt that I have comes to me, and I said, "Oh, fabulous! It's my husband's birthday. He thinks it's really sexy. He'll love that." So that makes sense. You always like it when your intuition makes sense, even though it's not supposed to. You still just feel better, when things line up.
Mhm.
So I get the time I'm supposed to leave the house. I'm walking to work. I get the direction. And I see this woman ahead of me. And that's one way that clairaudience will come to you, or clairsight, is you'll see things and you'll be like, I need to pay attention to that. So I see this woman from the back and I'm like, oh, she's pretty good looking. She looks like she's got it all together, cute jean jacket. What am I supposed to, notice about her? And I pass her and she looks over me and she goes, I love your shirt. And I said, thank you. It's my husband's birthday and he loves this shirt. It's a designer out of Edmonton. And yeah, so I just went on about the shirt. And then she goes, what did she say? I think then she noticed my bag. And I have a bag with butterflies on it. And again, gas station in the middle of BC, in the middle of nowhere, I had to buy this bag. And she says, oh my God, I love your bag. She goes, it's going to be so cool because, and she pulls up her sleeve and she's got this butterfly tattoo on her arm. And she says, everybody with butterflies is important to me. And I smile because obviously, I'm connected in that way too. So then actually, I think, no, I skipped a part. I walked by this woman. The first time. And no, prior to getting to this woman, I passed a piece of garbage on the street and I went to pick it up and I heard, no, don't pick it up. You need to keep going. So then I walked and I didn't stop by the woman. I walked by the woman and I saw another piece of garbage and I heard, stop and pick it up. And I didn't stop and pick it up because I didn't want to. And 30 seconds earlier, I'd been told not to pick up the piece of garbage that I was wanting to pick up. And then I could just feel this feeling. I'm like, it's not right. It's not right. It's not right. I'm like, what is off? What didn't I listen to? And it says, your timing is off. You needed to talk to that woman. You needed to stop and pick up the garbage because you've passed her and you didn't talk to her. I was like,
my goodness.
Okay, how can I rectify this? And it was like, start walking slower. You'll meet her at the stoplight. So this is what happened with the woman. So then we're talking. She says, it's a big day for me too. She says, I'm an author and I just released my book today and I'm in the city doing book signings. And I said, well, what's it about? And she started telling me what it was about. And it was about, I don't know how much of it I should or could share, with you about her and the story, but she died and came back. She had a near death or full death experience and died and came back. And that was what her book was about.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, yeah, exactly. I'm like, I need to read your book. And I said, what are you doing right now? And she says, well, nothing. And I said, well, would you like to come to my shop? It's just down the block. And she said, I'd love to come to your shop. I have extra money in my meter.
Oh my gosh.
So she came in and we hit it off, and it was really fabulous. And she's called the Lily Nurse, actually. And her book is it the Lily? I think her book is called The Lily Nurse.
Okay.
And so I was like, I sell lots of books from local authors in my store. Do you have any extra copies on you that I could buy and sell? And she says, sure, I'll go get them. And she goes and gets them, and she comes back, and, it was just this fabulous experience. And then I read the book, and, it's a lovely book, and this experience is fabulous. The thing is that when you live it every day for 20 plus years, and you hear about this experience, you're kind of like, you're sitting on the other side of the fence, because you don't really understand why you have a person who's lived a normal life till now have this experience, and they write a book about it, and everybody is over the moon, and it's a bestseller, and it's sold out before it even hits the stands. And I'm like, this happens every single day to me, and every single week to everybody I know. So what's the difference here? Like, how and why is she able to take a book in her life, and in a matter of a couple of years, I think it was 2 years since the accident, be known everywhere as this and for this experience. And I've been living it every single moment of every single day for the last 20, and nothing, like, all my words and everything's falling on deaf ears. And then I had this realization, and she is a labor and delivery nurse in her regular life. And what she does is she delivers people's children all day long. And they come out, and everybody is so overjoyed and so excited and so happy. And everybody puts all of this energy onto her. And she's literally coated in the happiness of every single couple whose baby she's ever delivered. And I thought about myself and my own past lives and my own present lives, and how, as a woman, I never really been a mother, and I've never really brought anything forth from my body and had it be allowed to live. And maybe in other shows I'll go into other past lives about what that means, but we'll just say that, like, okay, so body parts, I guess I'll do an aside into body parts.
Sure.
When I look at people's body parts and body types, there's different lifetimes and different emotions that are present in the body, and they dictate the shape of the body. I'm fortunate to have a very small waist and a great stomach. And when I started looking into the past lives of it was because I've been a ballerina in a past life.
Okay.
I've worn corsets constantly in past lives. I have not had enough food and literally, been starving to death. I have never really given birth to a child or had my, stomach change in that way.
Got it.
And so you just have these different feelings about, this great stomach when you see the underlying frequencies and reasons why that might be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so when I looked at my career and my ability to bring forth something into the world, and the reason it wasn't working, I ran into this woman, Kate Nagai, and she does fertility healing on women out of Edmonton, Alberta. And she started doing womb blessings and womb healings on me. And I started doing, a whole sequence of stuff about, that and motherhood. And at that time I thought, what does it mean to be a mother? And that was one of my things, is that if you don't have children, people tend to think that
I started late, so mine are 4 and 6. I'm 43,
okay.
So I was
so
always
maybe
one
you
of those.
Can share.
Well, why don't you have kids? Why don't you have kids? Why don't you have kids? And then makes you feel like, well, I'm the only one without kids. Like, what's wrong with me? And then the truth is, I had really serious fertility problems, and I was told I couldn't have kids. But long story short, I did it by myself, so I was able to. The first one I did, I got my sperm donor, and I did it myself, because that's how strong-willed I was, because I really decided I wanted to be a mom more than anything in the world, and made it happen. But it was weird because people would judge me. I was like the only one out of my friends who didn't have kids. And I felt like I wasn't part of this mom's club. And I'd say it's amazing. It is amazing. It's a lot of hard work. It's amazing. But I also used to tell people I'm a cat mom. I had over, sounds crazy, never at once. I had more than 6 cats, but I had a total of 120. Like, my cat would give kittens. I would raise them to birth since I was a kid, and I would give them away. And then I didn't believe in, I guess, birth control for them. My mom thought it was cute to see the animals have kids. So then as an adult, I had cats and I would do the same thing. And I loved my cat. So I'm like, I'm a cat mom. And so I was trying to be like, that's not the same. I'm like, no, it is. I know people who love their animals like they're their kids. They are their kids. They're their moms. So anyway, I've been in that position where I felt judged by people and like made to feel different. Like, oh, you're not a mom. You don't get it. And you just feel like people kind of like threw you to the side. Now that I'm a mom, I love it. But it's so cruel that people would treat me that way or someone would treat you that way. I don't know if that's been your experience, but do you feel that as people like judged you, like, or made you feel like different for not wanting kids or not having kids? I mean,
not so much. I think it was more the lack of understanding that some women have other things that they are supposed to do with their life. And that is as valid and as time consuming and as heart wrenching and as, it's, in my opinion, when you have discovered the essence of your soul and you have found out what it is you're supposed to be doing and you give yourself over to that totally and completely. And I mean, I would live and die for my remedies. And I have, if my house has been a mess, like a brand new mother, I've started and ran multiple businesses, and you're traveling and you're getting 1 or 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night, and you get interrupted in the middle of the day, and all of your time, energy, resources, money go to it, and I asked myself, I'm like, I am so run down. I was like, thank goodness I never decided to have kids, because I don't know how I would have managed it. And then I thought to myself, it was like something like 5 houses, 3 businesses, 2 renovations in those businesses, like 5 different components in the businesses, 13 employees within the past 3, 4, or 5 years or something. Like, it was insane. Oh. And I'm talking businesses in other provinces too. I was like, this would be the equivalent of having like a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, 2 twins, and pregnant with another one on the way. And it was at that point that I'm like, I am a mom and these are my kids. And I was okay with that.
Good. Yeah. Those are your babies, your businesses. Wow.
Yeah.
Great. Well, what else do you want to share? We still have, oh my gosh. Wow. We have only 7 minutes left in the show. It happened so quick, I guess, because we started late, but there's so much to you I want to get to know you. So continue.
I don't know. I feel like there were so many asides. I don't even remember the point I was trying to make.
I know, right. But I mean, first of all, your website, give us your website again, or both of them.
www.VitaJuwel.ca. And I'm just the Canadian distributor. So US customers have to order off the US website, which is VitaJuwel.com. And Orem is my own babies and my own line of products. Did I tell you how that launched?
Well, I think you did, but new listeners each and every time here on the show. So
I was working on a secondary website and it was totally private. And I had a text Saturday morning and this woman says, oh my God, Jacqueline, I love your pictures. I love your products. Tell me about them. And I said, what pictures, what products, what website? And somehow all of my products from Orem had relaunched onto VitaJuwel. So that was a matter of weeks ago. So if there's some, misunderstanding and confusion, and I sold over 100 bottles in 30 hours of my own products. And Spirit said, leave it up, Jacqueline. You're not allowed to take it down. You're not allowed to make it perfect. You're not allowed to make it work. It's like delivering a baby or getting pregnant.
Tell me what the products are and how could you help our listeners here with them? What exactly, specifically?
So I'll tell you about, can I share a screen on this?
Yeah.
I'm going to share a picture, and this is my Zippity Doodah remedy, but it's also me, actually, in a version of me. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is beautiful. This is me with my ermine. So one of the things that I use and talk about or are in my remedies are different spirit animals. And are you familiar with the term spirit animal?
Yes.
Okay. So it's like
tell everyone. Yeah.
Do you have a spirit animal? Or some people keep them private too.
I think cat. Cat.
Obvious. You can't raise 120 of them or give birth to 120 and not have
Exactly. Oh my gosh, so cute.
So I work with lots of spirit animals, and one of the ways I started going to zoos, and when I went to a zoo, I would talk to the animals. And so I would spend hours in the zoo talking to all the animals and doing healing and energy work on them. And I received a whole bunch of messages and a whole bunch of information. So we were at a zoo in Switzerland, and a really well-known zoo. It's considered one of the better run zoos. And I came across the giraffes, and I just fell in love with the giraffes. And I spent hours there doing energy work on the giraffes, because the feelings of animals in zoos are just, it's horrible, actually.
Sad.
And I said to my husband, I made a promise to this giraffe that I would see what I could do to help it. And so on the way out, we stopped and I asked if we could donate money for the zoo, and in particular the giraffes. Their enclosure was pretty small. I don't know if they could have even, got into a run in it.
Mm-hmm.
And we got this information, and of course everything is in German. And I understand a bit, but not enough to go over like a full, document. So I'm asking my husband, and he says, it doesn't look like we can actually donate money for the giraffes, because they are planning on bringing an aquarium they're actually taking away space from the animals, and they're going to put an aquarium in the center of the zoo. And I thought to myself, not only are they not making the existing pens bigger, they're going to make them smaller. And now in the middle of like landlocked Switzerland, they're going to start bringing ocean animals into that. So I said to my husband, I said, I'm done with this. I'm never going to another zoo again. And someday I will find a way to help these giraffes. So I got home, and sure enough, waiting in my inbox is the Saskatoon Zoo asking for a yearly donation for their zoo program, which I always do. And I didn't know what to do about it, because, and our Saskatoon Zoo, I think, is actually quite lovely. We, all of the rescue animals that have injuries or accidents go to it. And there's a lot of learning and teaching programs that go out of it. And I just was like, no, 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 no. And this girl that worked for me, she kept saying, Jacqueline, just, get some stuff off your plate and think about it. I think you need to reconsider. I think you need to reconsider. And so finally, I made a donation that year. And I thought to myself, maybe the idea is not to stop going to zoos. Maybe the idea is, we need a transition period and we need to make zoos better. And so I made a spray called Zip ID and Zooda. And that's based on all of my communications with different animals. And the reason that I use the I don't know if you can hear me right now.
Yeah, I can.
The reason that I use the ermine or the ferret is because that's one of my familiars. And I said to my husband, because I work with so many different animals and animals totems, I said, well, if I was an animal, what animal would I be?
You'd be the ermine.
Yes. And so then I started looking into ermines, and I found good things and some not so good things about the ermine. But overall, I was pretty happy with that. And I don't know if you can see on my bookshelf, we have a little ferret ermine up there.
I see one in your picture. I saw the bee. I saw the owl.
So this is the World Wildlife Federation, and that's my ferret, and my husband is a bee. So that's
okay.
His bumblebee.
Great. So Zippity, how do I say it?
Oh, so Zip ID, we subscribe to different magazines like the Wildlife Society and WWF and, different organizations. And as a medium and a psychic, technology and me don't really resonate. I only got my first cell phone a few years ago. I had to set up a Zoom account to have this meeting with you today. So, and the reason is you either do natural frequencies or you do technological frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm in front of a computer or by lights or by different electronic frequencies, the vibration and the frequency is so different for my body that it's actually really, really hard. Yes. And so when I think of whales or animals in the Arctic, or any animal in general, and the thing that lots of these wildlife organizations want to do is put ID trackers on them so they can know their migratory patterns.
Yes.
Yeah. On one hand,
you understand, but the other hand, you feel.
Yeah. Whales, they are the communicators of the ocean. Like that's their life is frequency. So how does that bode to have? So the Zip ID means get rid of the ID that we put on animals, and Zooda means and get rid of zoos or change zoos, or let's have a wake up call to how that. And it's like Zip ID, get rid of zoos. Duh, people.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Now, oh my gosh, we're out of time. I apologize. We're already over. My goodness. How do we get this? How do we get in touch with you? Could you give us your contact information?
VitaJuwel.com, VitaJuwel.com.
And in closing today, what else do you want to share with us?
Thanks for showing up and listening.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for doing this. And you know, knowing now that I didn't know that it was really uncomfortable for you, you would never know. Really, you're a great speaker. You're beautiful, and you have a lot to say. And I don't think 26 minutes is enough time for us. But hopefully, next time we'll have more time. We'll get started sooner. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, Jacqueline, and to all of our listeners as well. Stay tuned. More of the show is on the way. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.